Hey, how's it going? Ben here. Great to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. So in this video, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a sort of news update of current events here in Thailand. I thought I maybe would start a little bit of a playlist where I make videos responding to like news and big dramatic things that may be happening out here. So yeah, let me know what you think of this video because I'll be interested to hear that, trying something a little bit new for this channel. In this video, we're actually going to be talking about cannabis or marijuana or weed, whatever you like to call it, because it has recently been decriminalized somewhat here in Thailand. So I thought it'd be worthwhile having a look at what that means. So I'm making this video because I'm sure that this breaking news will attract a lot of tourists potentially. Like areas like Amsterdam and places like that, they build up a tourist reputation of people traveling to use marijuana or cannabis. So I thought I'd make a video because there are a few things that are still unclear. Now, Thailand is still in the very early days of decriminalization. It's not been legal for very long. And right now, because it's so new, the legislation doesn't seem to have quite caught up, and there are a few sort of things that aren't quite clear. Things like smoking recreationally aren't that clear cut. It doesn't seem to have any straightforward laws around such things. So I thought it might be a useful idea to jump in and have a little bit of discussion, a little bit of a browse online to see what we can find. And we'll try and get to the bottom of that burning question: can you smoke cannabis here in Thailand? So this video is probably going to be titled Cannabis and Thailand. This is the topic of this video. We're going to be talking about the new cannabis laws or change in laws surrounding cannabis here in Thailand, and try and find some information online to answer sort of some of the questions you might have if you are planning to come to Thailand as a tourist, or if you live here and you're unclear on the regulation, because it isn't that clear. And I thought we could have a look online and I'll share what I've heard being out here, so maybe we can get a little bit of an idea. So the big question, if you're someone who might want to travel to Thailand to take cannabis, would be, can you smoke cannabis in Thailand? And the answer to this question, as I mentioned in the intro to this video, isn't that clear. Like I said, because it's still very new, it's still very newly decriminalized, the legislation hasn't quite caught up, I think, or if it has, it's not really been published in English that well yet, because I haven't really got a firm grasp of what the legislation is at the moment. I think it is coming in the next couple of months. So hopefully in a few months, I'll be able to make an update to this video, and maybe things are a lot more clearer then. Maybe this video will then be completely redundant. But anyway, I thought we could have a look anyway. So the first article I found was this one on Reuters, and I will leave a link to all the articles I reference in this video. I'll leave a link to these articles in the description of this video, so if you want to go and check them out for yourself, head down to the description and you will find a link to these articles. So let's have a read through. Thailand legalized the growing of marijuana and its consumption in food and drinks on Thursday. The first Asian country to do so, with the aim of boosting its agriculture and tourism sectors. But smoking pot in public can still violate public health laws. So this is the interesting thing. This is what's a little bit confusing about this. Because you're not actually supposed to smoke recreationally, apparently. However, there have been a ton of things, shops and people and vendors selling marijuana have popped up. So it's not that clear what the law actually is right now. So as it says in this article, they have legalized growing marijuana and its consumption in food and drink. Now, we'll get into the details of the food and drink later. That's actually been legal for a little bit here in Thailand now. But there are quite strict rules that it's got to be a very, very low concentration of THC in that food and drink. And if you're growing at home, you need to have medical reasons for why you want to grow it, I believe. I believe you need to have some kind of medical reasoning for wanting to grow a plant at home. It's also not clear if foreigners are legally allowed to grow at home. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think it's necessarily been decided yet. However, if you are a Thai citizen and you're living in Thailand, you are allowed to grow cannabis at home, especially if you've got medical reasons to do so. And you need to register that you have growing plants online. There's actually an application or a website that you can go to and register yourself and put your address and where you're growing cannabis and how much you're growing and reasons why. So there is like a database being built up around that. But yeah, it is legal now for people to grow cannabis at home and consume it for medical reasons. And like it says in this article, it is pretty impressive. Thailand is the first country in Asia to do so. I think it was the first country to legalize medical use of marijuana a few years ago, and now it's the first Asian country to decriminalize the drug altogether. The possession and sale of cannabis extracts containing more than 0.2% of its psychoactive ingredient, and yeah, THC, let's call it, is not allowed. Those who break the laws can still face jail time and fines. So that's what I mentioned previously about selling food and drink with cannabis in. It has to have a very, very low percentage of THC in the cannabis used to make those products, those food, drinks, snacks, and that kind of thing. And it says 0.2%, so it has to have 0.2% or less THC if you're going to start selling cannabis products in Thailand. And it does say in this article I've heard it elsewhere, that those who break this law can still face jail and fines. So that's why the real reason I wanted to make this video, because it does appear that if you aren't too savvy, if you don't read up on it before you come to Thailand, you could still land yourself into trouble here in Thailand. And as I'm sure you are aware, perhaps, and if you're not, typically Asian countries have had very strict laws on drug use and possession and selling and dealing, very strict punishments to those laws. So you do still need to be very careful, I think, and it's not 100% clear what is legal and what is not legal right now. So I would say continue with great care and caution. The health minister said it has approved 1,181 products, including cosmetics and food, containing cannabis extracts, and it expects that the industry will earn as much as 15 billion Thai baht, 435.16 million by 2026. So here I think lies the real driving force behind this decriminalization, is the fact that it is a big global business right now. Cannabis is a big business, especially like medical cannabis. It's a massive business. Obviously the world is heading towards somewhat of a recession. It's been hit by the pandemic. There's a lot of people hurting financially, and it is actually a pretty cool move that the government here is making by making it legal for ordinary Thai citizens to be able to grow cannabis and maybe potentially get involved in this global business, especially given the fact that Thailand is probably like the perfect conditions for growing cannabis most of the year. It's very hot, and there are a lot of native species of cannabis to Thailand. It has a very rich history of cannabis, a very interesting and rich history, we should say, but it's been very illegal, very dangerous to be doing anything involving cannabis in recent years in Thailand and all the other Asian countries, like we said. So yeah, it has a checkered history, but also a very rich and interesting history. Maybe that's something I should make a video about later. But yeah, it does seem to be a great opportunity for Thai people, Thai businesses who want to get involved in the global cannabis market. And I'd say that clearly is the reason why the government or the nation have been taking moves towards decriminalization, is to generate revenue, generate some money for the people and for the government, I would imagine. Now, you may be interested to know what I've noticed whilst being here, whilst living in Thailand. Obviously, it has been decriminalized, so it's kind of legal, I think. But there are also strict laws. They're saying that you have to have medical reasons to smoke marijuana. They're saying that you can't do it in public, so you'd have to do it at home. That throws up an interesting dynamic, especially for tourists. So say if you're staying in a hotel, I don't think you'd be allowed to smoke in the hotel room. You wouldn't be able to smoke outside the hotel room. So it only seems to be able to use for people who have medical reasons to do so and a place of residence. So yeah, it is a bit of a weird spot. However, like we said, there isn't that legal framework right now. And if you go out into town, where I live, not so much. I've not really seen anything where I live. However, I've got friends in Bangkok who say it's absolutely booming. There's dispensaries opening up. There's vendors on the street selling cannabis flowers and other products. And this is a picture from Bangkok. So yeah, you can see they're selling the actual buds, the actual flowers. So it does seem that there are a lot of people, a lot of vendors, a lot of businesses opening up in areas, especially like Bangkok and the popular tourist destinations, that are selling that are opening up and starting and running cannabis dispensaries, which is very interesting considering the sort of unclarity of the legal framework right now as I see it, but maybe there's a whole framework that I don't see, and maybe it's on the other side of a language barrier or something like that. But yeah, as you can see, if you did travel to Bangkok right now, you would see dispensaries, you'd see vendors selling cannabis on the street. If you go to Google Maps and you search cannabis, you'll see like a lot of places sort of popping up on Google Maps. That's something I like to do to see about, to gauge what's going on. You know, there does seem to be a lot of businesses, and if they're posting online, if they're selling online, if they've got websites, Facebook groups, if they're appearing on Google Maps, then it does seem to be a legitimate sort of enterprise that's erupting. You know, it doesn't seem to be something that's being kept quiet if it's being done so in public. So I would say that these are all good signs for those hoping for a free and legal cannabis here in the Kingdom of Thailand. There does seem to be a lot of business online. There does seem to be a lot of legitimate businesses opening up shops, especially in places like Bangkok. And there does seem to be a lot of like businesses opening websites, doing business online. It doesn't at all seem to be like hidden or in like the shadows. It's out there in plain daylight. So that does seem to set a precedent of what to potentially expect. However, like I said, you do need to be very careful because the laws aren't quite clear right now. So I guess that brings us back to the question that we started this video with and circled back around to before. Can you smoke cannabis in Thailand? Well, the answer, I'm afraid, is unclear. I'm uncertain. I don't know if you can or if you're not allowed to. Because it's so new, I don't think legislation has quite caught up with all the demand and supply. So we're probably going to see some pretty big changes in the next few months. Hopefully we'll get an update. It does sound like there's going to be some news released. And perhaps later this month I'll be able to answer this question better. But as for now, what I really wanted to drive home with this video was that proceed with great caution. If you come to Thailand, if you smoke cannabis, and if you cause any problems, if you irritate anyone doing so, if you do it to like publicly, I think you still will get in quite a bit of trouble. So don't do that. However, if you are suffering from an illness that you think could be aided by cannabis, then Thailand is definitely a place you should look into visiting if you can. You know, it'd be a great place to come because that's what is driving this decriminalization, or part of it is. So definitely look into Thailand. It's a very exciting time. It's a very great thing for people locally in different countries nearby who perhaps are sick and could use the drug to help them get better. So yeah, that is a massive positive. And also it'd be very interesting to see the impact on the economy and entering into like the global medical marijuana economy will do to Thailand. So very exciting and interesting times ahead. That about does it for this video. Like I said, I will try and make an update to this video if any news comes out in the next couple of months, which it may well do. So hopefully I'll be able to make a new video soon on the same topic and answer some more questions. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing if you live in Thailand or you want to travel in Thailand, because I do make videos about living and traveling in Thailand a lot on the channel, and I plan to continue. So it would be great to stay in touch with you. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, or if you have any news. If you know something I don't, then let me know in the comment section. If you read something that I was unaware of, I'd love to hear what you've heard and what you know about cannabis in Thailand. And hopefully we'll get some new information soon and we can make an update to this video. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.